Hello and welcome to another episode. This is Marian Hund and
Jannis Maus.
so it's quite animal heavy video this time, which for like the non-German viewers, Hund is dog and Maus is mouse. Before we start, just a little thing. A good friend of mine, Lucas Arsenault from Canada. I spent like many years with him in Brazil, actually each year in autumn. And he's like a really good guy. And he just got bitten by a shark and he lost one leg. And as I said, he's a really good guy, and I would appreciate it if we could help him a little, like financially. And I put the link for the GoFundMe campaign in the description. Let's get started with the video. There are big news here. First of all, Jannis, you look really different. Looks like you hit the gym a couple of times. So what did you do? What have you been up to the past years?
Yeah, so basically, as most of you might know, kiting is Olympic in 2024 for the very first time. So what I was doing the last 2 years or 2.5 years maybe is going to the gym and going kiting and basically following my dream of becoming a professional or an Olympic kite surfer. So yeah, I might have passed or went past the gym 1 or 2 times.
Yeah, it's crazy. You definitely gained some weight. Yeah, so as you said, it has become Olympic, and it's not the wake style discipline, it's the racing discipline, of course.
Yeah.
And we know each other for, I think, it's quite a long time actually. It's definitely more than 10 years, I think. Yeah, it's like I did the wake style part, you did the racing part, and we met at the German Nationals for the first time, I think. And like back in the days, we were still a little younger, and yeah, I remember very well, like the German trophy back in the days, it was like 6 stops a year or something, so we met at least like 6 times a year for a couple of days, and I always enjoyed it because you're like a really special person, like really hardworking, honest, calm. Like I really appreciate the way you are, and yeah, like we did a couple of projects together and always kept in touch, and yeah, it's great to have you here. And I'm really interested about the racing stuff because I always like got some information on Instagram, but I also have a couple of questions because like yeah, some things are really interesting, and when I see the pictures of you guys racing, I really feel like my blood going pumping in my veins, and yeah, it's cool. Do you remember when we were in Sylt? What was the competition called?
I think it was the Kitesurf Cup Sylt.
Ah, yeah, right. And it had 10,000 euros prize money, right?
Yeah, that was actually, I think that was the first time that we ever, or the first and only time that we ever got this much prize money.
Yes, same here. By the way, would you get more prize money if you win Olympia?
No, just the honor. Like I would need to become Singaporean actually, because if I win the Olympics as a Singaporean, you get like $500,000 US or a bit more even. But as a German, well, maybe a couple of thousand euros, but not as much as the Singaporean.
Okay, so we have to do the Kitesurf World Cup, the Kitesurf Cup in Sylt again.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, I'll put a picture in the video. I think we looked much younger, and it was a lot of fun back then. I didn't really know that you were also that good, like in old school stuff and board-offs and rotations and stuff, because it was like a team competition, and I did the wake style part, Jannis did the old school part, and I think from the very beginning it was clear that we have a chance to win that, and then we pulled it together and won the competition. It was really cool. It was good times.
I think there were even quite big names. I remember this was the heat. I was quite proud of myself then because I was usually from the racing scene, and there was one team I think with even Nick Jacobsen. I guess everybody in kiting knows Nick Jacobsen, and yeah, we won against their team, which was quite a banger, huh?
Yeah, absolutely. I have a couple of questions regarding the racing. Like, is it true that only one person per nation can enter the Olympic discipline, or can enter the Olympic competition?
Yeah, exactly. So the quota for the Olympic Games is actually just 20 people from 20 nations per gender. So there's 20 male and 20 female riders. The split, so how it works is the spots are first of all assigned from the last year's Worlds. So there the 8 best nations got their nation spot secured. And after this, basically six spots are given to the riders per continent. So there's one spot for Europe, one for Asia, one for Oceania, South America, North America, and Asia. So that's the 6 spots. And then there's one more so-called last chance regatta, which was this year in Hyères. That was basically like a World Cup. And there the last 5 spots were assigned. So in the Olympics you will actually have riders from all around the world, from Thailand, from China, also from nations that you usually don't see as much in the front at the Worlds. But that's also what makes the Olympics so special, because everyone is represented. I think everyone knows this story from the, what was it, Jamaican swimmer or the Kenyan ski flyer. So yeah, it's really a special occasion, a special competition where only a very selected group of people of 20 riders are represented.
Very nice. Yeah, that was a funny story of the ski flyer, but nevertheless, that's how it works, and it's really cool to have like competition for the whole world. I can imagine that when you prepare for like your entry in the Olympic Games, that's also it has been a long period of time, the preparation period, like I think 3 years or something, 2 years, 3 years. And like there's only one spot, so that's also kind of risky, right? Then you cannot injure, or you must not injure in that time. You have to be like really stable, get your results in, and all that stuff. And if you don't make it to the Olympic Games, all that was more or less for nothing. So there's quite a lot of pressure, I can imagine.
Yeah, true. The qualification for the Olympic Games is for us Germans a 2-step process. So last year at the European Championship I got this one European spot, and basically after that it was definitely not decided who of the Germans is going to the Olympics. So the German Federation decided to basically make this decision on 3 competitions this year, which were the Europeans in Murcia, so Spain, then one World Cup on Palma de Mallorca, and the last competition that counted for us was the World Championship. And as you said, we're all preparing to be on top at those 3 competitions. And if you basically get unlucky, if you get injured, or if you get sick during one of those competitions, you're almost out. And this is also what actually happened a little bit to Flo. So basically my direct competitor, he had one very bad injury at the last competition. So he had a cut in his foot, and basically this was then that ended his chance to get this spot, which was of course very sad. But on the other hand, I was really feeling good through the competitions. I had really good races. I felt well prepared, as you just said. Preparation is everything, both physically and mentally. And yeah, that's basically when you need to bring everything together in those 3 competitions, and you have no other chance.
Yeah, I can imagine. That's yeah. Congrats again. Sometimes you need luck. Sometimes it's about hard work. In the end, it's probably a mix, but that's sports. Like in the end, there will only be one person on the very top, and that's how it is. And sometimes it's hard. Sometimes it needs a little bit of luck. But in the end, and throughout the years, it's, I would say, like from my experience, it's kind of fair, but it always needs some time and some average. And it's tough with those Olympic decisions, because at one point it comes to a decision, and then there's one person that goes. In that case, it's you. And actually, I'm really happy for you that you made it. It's great. But yeah, sometimes it can be tough, and there's a lot of pressure, and I can really well imagine that. Jannis, can you explain the format a little bit to me? What is it like? The general racing? Like also for the people out there, I can imagine I have a lot of wake style followers, not that many racing followers. Can you give us like a rough draw of what it looks like, and what are the most important moments in such a race, and what's your favorite part about it?
Yeah, so as we already established, the format is racing, so no jumping, no judges. We're all starting at the same time. I often compare it to Formula One racing. So there's one start where everybody starts at the same time. Then we go two laps, 2 rounds around the course, and whoever finishes the race first obviously is the winner. In the Olympics, everyone will start at the same time. We have 4 to 5 races per day, and basically we do this for 3 to 4 days. And on the last day, this is basically the most crucial day, because on the last day we have the medal races. In the medal races, only the top 10 are competing. So theoretically, if you're 10th after these qualifying days of 15, 20 races, even when you're 10th, you still have the chance to actually win the Olympics, win the games. And this is basically what makes the last day count so much. Obviously, it's hard to get to the first position when you're 10th, but it is possible. So that's what makes it super exciting. The crucial moments in racing are very much the start. So how you position yourself, at what end of the start line you stay, because we have a flying start.
There's one absolute favorite picture. I think it's even a video of yours, where like you can either start from the left or the right. You have like a starting line, and then the whole fleet, like everybody but you, comes from one side, and they have the way of right, and you come from the other side and you don't have the way of right, or right of, yeah. So it's that way around. Okay, so you know what I mean, I hope. And then you really have to make sure that you're like edging much harder than the other guys, and you're faster than the other guys, and like, but just, was it a video or a picture?
Video, yeah.
Video, yeah, then I'll put it in here. Just by seeing the video, I was really like, I can feel my blood. I want to do this as well. It looks so much fun. So what is in your head when something like that happens?
Yeah, so what you're referring to is what we call a port start. So as you explained it correctly, usually everyone starts with the right hand forward. I mean, sometimes in wake style it's a little different, it's by rotation, but on the water in racing we have right of way when you're right hand forward. So in some very rare cases it is possible to start against the entire fleet without the right of way, but you need to be perfectly on the timing, on the gun, and you need to edge so much harder. But when you actually make this cross, when you cross the entire fleet in front, it's like an adrenaline rush that basically there's no comparison to, because you're basically showing the long nose to all the other riders and say, yeah, I got the best start and you didn't. Yeah. So this is basically one of the coolest moments in racing. Also, it's not that we're going slow, it's quite fast, quite intense. So like a little mistake in this situation and you probably get run over by everyone. So it's a high pressure start, but when you make it, you basically win the race.
Yeah. And what would happen if you see like, okay, that's getting too close and you cannot make it? Do you have to turn around?
Basically, in every situation in racing, I try to have like separate options. So the start that you probably all saw in the video now, and that we're referring to, I need to decide about 10-15 seconds before the start whether I can make it or not. So you need to plan quite in advance. And if you see, okay, no, this is not working, you will go basically full speed into the fleet and tack. So basically turn into the fleet and start in the conventional way, so on the right hand forward. But you need to always keep your options open. Sometimes it happens that you maneuver yourself in a situation that you can't get out of. and then obviously you will be protested and it's all a mess. But usually I try to keep all my options on the table and yeah, be ready to react.
I'll put a picture in here so you see like how it looks like when a fleet like this starts, and like just from my imagination, like I have a picture now in my head. Hopefully I find something like this later on for the editing. Like you have very short lines, you have very big kites, very big soft kites, so they have a super high aspect ratio, they're super like long, and they like almost are there like a 45-degree angle, and then it's hard to move them because once they move like super slow, but then you also have those short lines, and I can imagine that if like they're coming, I don't know, 10 riders in your direction, it's impossible to maneuver through them because everybody has to reposition its kite, and with those short lines and those long shapes, is that possible, or is it for sure that a crash will happen?
Yeah, actually what you're referring to is a very, very tough situation that happens quite often on the race course. So when you imagine everyone starts on the start line, so usually everyone is going, except when I start on port, but usually everyone is going in the same direction, and you're going upwind to the first mark. And then you will have the situation on the so-called lay line, which is the line towards this mark, where everybody lines up again on starboard, so with the right hand forward. And on this lay line, it's super crucial to actually either make the cross, or worst case, you have to duck everyone and avoid everybody's kites, everybody's lines, and then you're basically behind. So finding your very, very small path through the riders is, on the big size, is almost impossible, because as you said, we have these super high aspect ratio kites, and well, we're racing on 23 square meter kites, so they are kind of heavy. Yeah. Sometimes it's possible, but usually if you're a little bit behind, I mean, you just need to be 1 meter behind the first rider approaching, and then you have to duck him, and when he's followed by a second guy, you have to duck him. So usually when you need to duck, you need to duck at least 5 or 10 people. So that's very costly.
Okay, I can imagine. What is like your top speed, like absolute top speed, and what's your average speed on a race?
Yeah, my personal top speed, I just broke it this spring on a little. It was not actually in a race, but in training. My top speed was 80.6 kilometers an hour. That's quite fast and quite scary, because also at this speed, the foil, even when it's like perfectly stream-wise aligned in the water, it starts to cavitate. So it actually boils the water that's flowing along the surface of the foil. And yeah, it's an amazing feeling, but at least I had the number on my GPS watch. And I'd say the average speed around the course is 55, maybe 60 kilometers an hour. But we're not going only for speed. We need to push quite a lot of angle, both upwind and downwind. So I think something between 50 and 60 kilometers is then our average speed. Also, obviously, including the maneuvers that we do. So during the tags and during the jibes, we lose a little bit of speed. But I mean, the goal is to keep this average speed as high as possible. And I think this is where we end up in the end.
Yeah, that's crazy, because you have to keep in mind that they don't have like the kites at 12 o'clock like most of us do when they're foiling. Like their kites are right on the surface of the water. So this means when you're having a crash at 80 plus kilometers an hour, you're probably bouncing on the water for, I don't know, 20 meters before you actually like penetrate the water. So I can imagine, yeah, better not trying to crash there.
Maybe for a comparison, and for those of you that don't have a GPS watch on the water, when you're an average twin tipper that pushes quite hard in a flat water situation in a lagoon, you might get to 45, 50 kilometers. 50 kilometers are already quite fast on a twin tip. Obviously there are then the speed boards and so on, but an average kiter going in choppy conditions is like 25 kilometers. And at 25 kilometers, our foils are so slender, so thin, that with this low speed we might not even be able to to foil. And also for comparison, when you go 40, 45 kilometers an hour on a wakeboarding, on a cable park, from 45 kilometers upwards, you can go barefoot. So we're almost going double the speed of the necessary speed to go barefoot on a cable. So yeah, it is quite intense, and crashes at these speeds are very, very intense. Actually, last year in November, we had a training in south of France. Putting it in simple words, I crashed without any influence, so there was no stick, no nothing, and I broke a rib. So just from the impact, we're wearing impact vests and helmets and everything, all the protection that we can have. But just from this impact, my arm broke my rib. So yeah, crashes are very, very intense.
Yeah, I can imagine. Do you have any more spectacular crashes, or maybe you have some videos for me, which I can put in that video to show what's going on?
I think we can at least have some POV videos, and usually Kite Classes also has some nice videos. Those are the people that are filming our races. So I think we can find a clip there.
Oh, excellent. So I'll put some dramatic stuff for you in the video. So yeah. Another question. So you're now a big guy. If Olympics doesn't work and you need a job, you can definitely go in a nightclub and work there at the door. But gaining that much weight and also muscles, obviously, but you're having a lot of muscles now, but I can also see from other riders that they're also just gaining weight, not only necessarily muscles. So it is important to have some weight, right? To just have enough power to give a counterpart to the kite and put that power into speed? Or is it also because of for example, as you said, with crashes and stuff like that, muscles and mass is kind of protective? But it's mostly about probably getting the speed, right?
Yeah. So we're the only class that can basically choose their sail size. So in all the other, we're officially a sailing discipline. I don't know if you mentioned this already, but we're a class that can choose their kite size. We are restricted to only 4 kites per competition, but we can say, okay, now this is 10 knots, so we take our 23s, this is 15 knots, so we take our 15 square meter, and this is 25 knots and we take our 11. So we can actually choose which kite and which conditions we take. This is completely unrelated to any jury decision or any decision from the outside. So what you're aiming for is obviously basically hold the biggest kite or the bigger kite as long as possible, and this is way easier when you weigh a little bit more. And as you just mentioned, the goal is at the moment 95 to 100 kilos.
Your goal?
Yeah, my goal is 95. I don't think I can get to 100, but I'm scratching 94 sometimes.
But you're just eating like crazy at the moment and training, or what is the plan?
I actually have a very good athletic coach,
yeah.
So I'm always eating like crazy, but also going to gym like crazy. I think we had some stats since October or November last year. I gained 7.5 kilograms, and I think from those 7.5 kilograms, it's 6 kilograms of muscle. Yeah. So a lot of gym. Yeah. And basically I am at least one person that says, okay, it's all about the athleticism. Some people just gained weight in all directions, and I prefer to do it the lean way, which is of course the harder way, but I think especially for the venue where we're going, which is Marseille, there you need to be a bit more agile. So it's definitely about being an athlete and being as professional as you can.
So when will the event take place?
The games will be from the 4th to the 8th of August, with the medal race, as we just said, is the most important race on the 8th of August. And the opening ceremony is, I think, on the 26th of July. but the most important race will be on the 8th of August.
Okay, crazy. So it's almost around the corner. Nice. What happens if there's not enough wind on the 8th?
I think this is very, very unlikely.
But what happens?
What happens? Basically, we have a spare day.
Okay.
On the 9th of August, we can also race, and I hope that the television guys will say, okay, we show them tomorrow. Yeah. But I mean, for your comparison, we can kite in such light winds. We can basically start when you're still playing badminton at the beach.
Like 4 knots?
We need 4 or 5 knots, and then we can go around 25 knots. So this is 50 kilometers an hour. Yeah. So in the last 5 years, at all competitions I've been to, we've never had a medal race day without wind. Okay. So the finals will happen on the 8th. I'm pretty confident. Yeah.
Fingers crossed, because I know it from my competition career back in the days. Like, it was almost normal that freestyle couldn't take place because we had shitty wind conditions or shifting winds or whatever. But as Jannis said, racing almost takes place, or like there are almost every time suitable conditions for doing the race. And yeah, that's it from my side. Is there anything from your side you might want to add?
I mean, I hope that everybody will be following our competition. It's not only that I want to have the fame, but it's also such a great event or such a great thing for kitesurfing as a sport, that we actually get this huge stage with all the publicity. And I think it will just be a super nice event in Marseille or in France. And yeah, hope you all tune in on the 8th of August.
Is it on public TV?
It should be, either Eurosport or some local broadcasters. Okay,
but no ARD or ZDF, like for the Germans?
They haven't published the broadcasting plan yet, but it might be. Okay. Eurosport has the rights, and some of the rights are sold to the local public.
Nice. Yeah, very cool.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Jannis. Fingers crossed, and for sure we will do an update video, maybe before the Olympics or for sure after the Olympics. We will do an update video, and yeah, it was great having you here. We will enjoy a couple more coffees and talk a little bit more, because it's also been a while since we've seen each other. Now, like me having a family and Jannis training a lot for Olympia, so it's good to use that time. But I was really curious about the racing stuff and all the Olympic and background, so we thought, why not ask these questions in front of the camera and let you or share this experience and answers with you. So yeah, thank you very much for watching, and see you soon. Bye bye.